You ever have one of those mornings where you're standing on your own back porch, coffee still warm in your hand, and suddenly you're accused of trespassing on your own property? Yeah, that happened to me. The scream came out of nowhere. "You're trespassing! Leave immediately." And there was this woman I'd never met before clutching a stack of papers and pointing at me like she'd just caught a burglar red-handed. For a second, I actually looked around, half expecting to see someone else behind me. But nope, it was just me, Michael Thompson, apparently public enemy #1 in my own backyard. I'd bought this place with 0 HOA restrictions, swore up and down that was the whole point. But the look on her face told me we were about to find out who really had authority here. And trust me, one of us was about to be proven catastrophically wrong. Now let me back up a sec. My name's Michael Thompson, 35 engineer, stubborn as a mule if you ask my mother. I'd finally saved up to build the cedar fence I'd wanted for years. Real work, real sweat, deep satisfaction. That's when Karen Williams, HA president, materialized at my gate like some avenging angel. "You cannot live here with that fence." Her voice just sliced through the morning air. Right behind her, there were 2 more matching polos looking like backup dancers who'd never made it out of the suburbs. "You're violating HOA regulations," Karen declared. "You don't belong in this neighborhood." I tried to stay calm. 3 years, not a peep from anybody, just me mowing my own grass, paying my taxes, bothering absolutely nobody. "Ma'am, what are you talking about?" "This is my land." She smiled, but it wasn't friendly. More like she was deciding which part of me to evict first. "Your land isn't part of this HOA?" "Impossible. I control this entire area. I know every property within 47 feet of this boundary." 47 feet. Not 40, not 50, 47. Made a note of that because that's the kind of detail only someone truly obsessed would throw around. "Look, I said, I bought this house in 2017, got all the paperwork to prove it." Karen's volume went up a notch with every word. "There are rules here. You can't just do whatever you want." The air got heavy, that weird tension you get when a neighbor's dog starts barking and you know things are about to go sideways. I tried, I really did. "Ma'am, can you show me any documentation that gives you authority over my property?" For half a second, she actually looked panicked. But then, like all true believers, she doubled down. "I am the documentation. I've been president since 2019. I decide who gets to live here and who doesn't." I almost laughed, except she wasn't kidding. The 2 backups stepped closer. Robert Jenkins, who looked like he'd been dragged out mid-jog, and Susan Mitchell clutching a 3-ring binder like it was the Bible. "We represent the Maplewood Heights Homeowners Association," Karen announced, waving her papers. "You are not permitted to live in this area." For a second, I thought it was a prank. I've got a mortgage, utility bills, 3 years' worth of Amazon packages with my name on them. But according to Karen, I just didn't fit the community profile. Robert, trying to sound wise, said, "People who understand the value of controlled development belong here." Karen cut in, "People who belong." So I asked, "Do you have any paperwork that says my house is in your HOA?" Karen's eye twitched. "We have complete authority." "That's not what I asked," I said. She stepped in so close I could smell her perfume. "You think you can just ignore the rules because you have some piece of paper?" "The piece of paper is called a deed, ma'am." Susan started flipping madly through her binder. "All properties in this development are subject to HA covenants. The Maplewood Heights community was established in 2019. And right there, the whole thing broke open. My deed was from 2017, 2 years before their HOA was even a twinkle in Karen's eye. Silence. Just the faint sound of a lawnmower and the distant hum of reality catching up. Susan realized what she'd just admitted. Karen, though, wasn't giving up. "You can't live here without being part of the HA. I control this area. I decide who stays and who goes." "Based on what authority?" I asked. based on the fact that I will make your life impossible if you don't comply. That's when I saw the real Karen mask slipping, voice shaking, threatening me on my own front lawn. She shoved a violation notice at me, no letterhead, no nothing, and declared she was opening an enforcement file against me. People like you think you can just move in and build whatever you want. Not here, not in my community, people like me. Yeah, I caught that. I didn't fit her idea of who belonged. And then the nuclear option. That's it, she yelled, whipping out her phone. I'm calling the police. This man is trespassing on HA property. I almost choked. Trespassing on my own land. But Karen was already dialing, screaming to the dispatcher about my illegal structures and hostile attitude. Robert and Susan looked ready to melt into the bushes. 15 minutes later, the police arrived. 2 officers, Johnson and Davis, who clearly thought they were here to break up a parking squabble, not mediate the great fence war of Maple Drive. Karen ran up to them, breathless. Officers, thank goodness you're here. This man refuses to leave our HOA area. He's building illegal structures. Officer Davis looked at me. Sir, is this your property? I handed over my documentation, deed permit surveys. Officer Johnson looked it over. Real careful. Ma'am, he asked Karen, do you have any paperwork showing? This property is part of your HOA. Karen went from indignant to flustered, then right back to aggressive. I don't need documentation. I'm the president, Susan tried to jump in with her binder. We were established in 2019. Officer Johnson looked up. This deed is from 2017. Looks like Mr. Thompson's property predates your HOA. Karen staggered, rage and disbelief twisting her face. That can't be right. I control this neighborhood. Officer Davis checked his tablet, then turned to her. According to the county, this lot isn't in your association. For anything final, you'll need city or county confirmation, but you don't have authority here. You could see it clear as day when the truth finally landed. Karen's whole empire stopped right at my property line. But instead of backing off, she doubled down, started ranting about people who don't respect authority. The officers exchanged that look, the one where 2 people silently agree, this is above our pay grade. Ma'am Johnson said making false reports to emergency services is a crime. You called 911 claiming trespass, but this is his property. Don't do it again. Karen just stood there swaying like the ground had shifted under her. Robert and Susan disappeared faster than a coupon at a Black Friday sale. I should have gone inside, but I couldn't. My phone started lighting up. Karen had already jumped online posting wild stories about a dangerous situation on Maple Drive, painting me as a threat to the neighborhood. Next thing I know, there's a city inspector at my door, clipboard badge, the whole 9 yards. We got a complaint about unpermitted construction, he said. I poured him coffee, showed him every permit. He left, shaking his head. Everything's legal, case closed. But Karen wasn't done. City inspector confirmed violations she posted. It was like watching a magician turn a rabbit into a lawsuit. Then comes the twist. Betty Anderson, retired teacher, knocks on my door. She tells me Karen's done this before 3 other families, all bought before the HOA existed. She drove them out with complaints and false reports. Turns out it was never about fences or codes. It was about power. Karen couldn't stand the idea of someone in the neighborhood she didn't control. That night she called an emergency HOA meeting. I didn't go alone. I brought David Miller, property rights attorney, a guy who'd seen it all. Karen took the stage like a politician, flashing photos of my dangerous fence, spinning stories about me threatening residents and endangering children. I stood up, introduced myself. Karen tried to shut me down, but David wasn't having it. State law says any property owner can respond to public claims, he said, calm as could be. Then he put my deed, the HOA founding docs, and a survey map on the projector. My house bought 2 years before the HOA, sitting outside their lines. You could have heard a pin drop. Karen exploded. I don't care about paperwork or years. He doesn't belong here. The whole room saw it. This wasn't about rules. It was about her control. Someone recorded the whole meltdown. By morning, the video was viral. Headlines like HOA president goes full Karen. The truth was out, and suddenly Karen was facing lawsuits from every family she'd bullied, including me. The HOA board removed her, unanimously issued a formal apology, and James Wilson, the new president, came by with homemade cookies and a real handshake. Funny thing, property values didn't fall because of new neighbors, but because of Karen's behavior. Real estate agents started warning buyers about past HOA issues. Karen lost her job, her reputation, and by Christmas, her house was on the market. The new family, the Taylors, brought cookies their first weekend. The street started to heal. The real lesson, leadership isn't about flexing power, it's about building community. My fence still stands straight as the day I built it. Karen's authority was never real. Sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't a bad neighbor. It's someone who thinks their comfort matters more than the truth. So let me ask you, where's the line between authority and bullying, between keeping order and just keeping people out? Ever had someone try to kick you out of your own life? Drop your wildest HOA story or your thoughts on what real justice looks like in the comments. I want to hear it. And if you ever find yourself facing down a self-appointed neighborhood dictator, remember the deed is the deed. Stand your ground.